This meeting is being recorded.
All right, guys. Hey, it's Jeremy. I'm here to go ahead and give you guys a tutorial here of PTCAS and just kind of go over some things that I've kind of pointed out in the overview document that I also included in the email. And so this is going to go up as a YouTube video, which you're probably watching on YouTube right now. But we're going to go ahead and take a little dive in here. And hopefully it's not too long. I will mention, it's funny, I just did one of these and I thought I was recording it. And unfortunately, I was not recording it, so we're doing this again. But I'm happy to help out here in any way that I possibly can. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Biggest thing here, like I said, I've provided this link kind of in that overview document. You go ahead and start and create an account if you haven't already. Pretty straightforward here. Your legal name, contact information, text and phone authorization, username and password, terms and conditions. I don't think maybe you guys have this. I don't know. I might be confused. I don't know. I don't know you. So yes or no, obviously. Continuing though, so we're going to look in here at this username and password. This is very important. Cannot stress it enough to be able to write this information down and include it somewhere to where you're going to remember. Because even though it's going to give you, once you create your account, even though you're going to have a PTCAS ID and your email and password, your username it's different from that, right? So you're going to create your own username, which you'll see what mine is for this test account here in just a moment. Once you do all that, you'll create your account. I think you'll get an email confirmation. I can't remember, but anyways, go ahead and just come back here, and we're going to go ahead and log into my demo account here. Alrighty, and so, like I said, I did a pre-recording here, so some stuff is already complete, but I'm going to still try to walk you through it as best I possibly can. So big thing here is you got your four big squares. That's what I'm going to call them. Four big components to the whole application. And so obviously we got personal information, which has 8, sections. Academic history has 3. Supporting information has 5, and its program materials can have really indefinite because it's however many programs you add and then what you do for those programs, right? So these little 3, so personal, academic, and supporting, are set at their number. This one varies depending on how many programs you add, right? And then once you complete everything in this section, you get a big green check mark, big green light. Same thing here, same thing here. If you get any notifications throughout the time of your viewing this, you can click these right here, or it'll be latest notifications right here as well. Top of up here, so this is your little top, I guess, navigation board is what I would call it. My application is what we're on right now, so this is where you see all these the big four right here. Add program is essentially the same thing as program materials right here. It's just a quick way to be able to add a program real quick. Submit your application, and then this thing's in a way. Oh, it is on my screen. I don't know if y'all can see this. If I can drag my recording thing down here, that would be very nice. Well, anyways, I don't know if you can see where my cursor is. Check status button is right here as well. So you can take care of that and do that too. That's obviously once you've submitted everything and are awaiting feedback from either PTCAS or a program administrator. So let's go ahead and dive into this personal information section. You got a release statement here, so it'll load. Well, I guess I already, okay, there we go. So I already went ahead, just did this just for fun. Just make sure you go through here and read all these things here real quick and then save and continue. Biographic information. If you don't click save, it's going to prompt you. So it's okay. So if you forget to save something, it's all right. And even when we get to the essays here in a little bit, I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I would recommend getting you a Word doc or a Google Doc or something, and honestly going ahead and doing your essay in that, or kind of copy and pasting and continually updating both PTCAS and also those other documents so that you kind of have a backup in case information gets deleted or whatnot, right? But continuing onward with our personal information here. So we're going into biographic information. Again, all this is pretty straightforward. I know all of us have had to fill out this stuff a ton of times before. So I'm just kind of giving you like a brief overview of how this looks. I also forgot to mention earlier, this is going to be for y'all's 24-25 application cycle, whereas mine was last year, which was a 23-24 cycle. So, nothing's really changed. Obviously, they've made some updates here. But as for me, what I'll have to do before my program begins in June is have to go back and just make some just updates from when I've graduated my undergraduate here recently, and any other updates that I kind of make here. Now, on this personal information thing, that's other information sub-tab here. I want you to pay attention to this first essay that we encounter, which is detailing about COVID-19. I would recommend just going ahead and, reading this and kind of just getting an idea of maybe, what happened, the impact of the pandemic to you. But I wouldn't really write this essay until you get your other main essays and individual program essays done. While I'm on that topic, some programs do not go through PTCAS. So like an example would be University of Mississippi Medical Center in Jackson. Their DPT program went through a website called Workday, right? So that's how they do all their internal business and applications and whatnot, right? So they don't use PTCAS. I'm sure there's some other programs around the country that do the same, but again, we're on PTCAS and that's our focus here today. So continuing, we get into academic history. Now, big thing here, you got to fill out the colleges attended or are in attendance of. I wish they kind of said that right here too, but they don't. Just add a college or university. Like I said, I kind of already added Mississippi State here as a demo on the previous one, because if you don't add anything, you can't do this whole transcript entry thing. So again, we'll just click on this. If this is the edit button. So obviously I entered Mississippi State University for the one that I am or did attend. For me, I said yes, and I have already had the degree awarded, so I went ahead and clicked that. Filled out this information right here. If you have another degree, do that too. We operated on a semester basis. Am I still attending it? No. My first semester was this. My last semester was this. Now, I also did attend a community college, but that's on my main application. So be sure to put all the universities or colleges that you attend, even if it's to take one course, you still have to have that. And also, the more universities that you attend means the more transcripts that you will have to send both to PTCAS and all the programs that you plan to apply to. So just keep that in mind too. Now, transcript. PTCAS wants more of your money. So they're going to prompt you with the option to do all of your transcripts by yourself. So it doesn't say it here because, well, I should, let me get here. Let me see if I can delete this. Let's see if I can delete this. Okay, it has it down here. So it's called a professional transcript service. So it depends. Like, you can look at this and tell me more here. So you can get this done if you don't want to enter transcripts by yourself. I recommend entering by yourself. All I did was just put in some music. Took me about an hour, and I used both the unofficial transcripts of my community college and my university. Went ahead and put it in there. So I just selected the no thanks option here. I'll handle it myself, which is what I did. I started. Obviously, I started with my community college because that's what I attended first, but we'll go ahead and just do a little brief demo here. They also let you know here, I also have the program here that I used to, but if you're applying to the programs, like, you can kind of go ahead and see like some of these prerequisite courses that they want you to attend or have rather. So be mindful of that. But outside of that, I would recommend just reaching out to the individual program administrators for your respective programs and figure out what courses they want you to have. And if they're fine with you having certain courses at a trade school or community college versus a university, or four-year university rather. So all that stuff's pertinent. All that stuff's important. I digress though on that subject matter. And let's go ahead and just kind of show you how to add a semester here. So select the term. I'm gonna do when I first started. So just fall year 2022 academic status. If you don't know, you're supposed to select freshman. That's what this message right here is telling you. So I'm just click X on that. I was junior. I was a transfer student. Completion status is completed because I have my degree. If you are registering right now for your upcoming fall semester of 2024 in your undergrad program, you can go ahead and start filling out this stuff, but you're going to put in progress and plan instead. And so all you would do, which is also something I need to do here eventually, is go back and change this in progress as planned to completed once it's obviously completed, right? But anyways, leave it completed, add a course. It gives you examples here. So if you pull up your unofficial transcript on whatever service your program goes through, you're going to have all of these things. So you're going to have the course code, you're going to have the course title, subject, credits, grade, and this CAS grade is automatically filled in. So if I put A, boom, it's there, right? So perfect. Credits, usually it's 3. Labs, I think, are like 1. It can depend on the program. But that's really it right there. Once you get done with that, you add as many courses that you have for this semester, for this year, and whatnot, right? So again, this is based off a semester. I can't think of the word. You get what I'm saying, though. After that, we're going to go ahead and view the standardized test. Now, again, as I said, it prompts you. I meant to say, okay, cancel. Okay, there we go. Now, I didn't take any of these 4, but I did take the GRE because a lot of PT programs require you to take the GRE. I'm not a big fan of it, so I didn't prepare for it like I should have, but that's okay because I found that other aspects of my application were pretty strong. So when different programs were reviewing my scores and stuff, they took that into account and they're like, okay, well, maybe he's strong in these areas, but he's not as great with test taking or whatnot. Right. So I didn't really prepare for this, but again, in that document I've sent you, I've given you a little bit of YouTube videos of people going over some GRE test taking strategies and kind of how to excel with the exam. I think a lot of people recommend usually start studying a month ahead of time, depending on your learning and how you learn material and kind of digest things. But anyways, when you get to this part of it, you can add the test score. So you can, if you haven't taken it, you would put in when you're taking it, and then you put in that registration code. If you have taken it, you put in when did you take the test, and then you put in this registration code. And about 14 or 15 days after taking the test, it gets graded. So you would enter this code again if you needed to, and it should automatically fill in this. But if it doesn't, the email that contains this ETS registration code should have these values in here so that you can enter them and save this test. You can take it as many times as you want. They've actually condensed the test from when I took it in September of 2023. So, take that in mind. Trying to think. I think there's a quantitative section, qualitative section, and there's a written section. There used to be 2 of each. There used to be 6 total sections. Now I think there's 3. Could be mistaken on that. Could be wrong. Do a little bit more research on that, and you're going to be totally fine. All right, we're going to go back. Again, once you get all that completed, it would be green. If you still have some outstanding semesters, like I said, that's where that in progress comes into play. And it's now prompting me with this message here at the top. So if you need help with the application, you can always reach out to them via this email here, or I think they have a phone number too. You can probably contact as well. But we're going to go ahead and dive into the most important section that I think is by far what you should focus on the most. And it's actually stuff you could probably go ahead and be working on now, similarly to this personal information academic history as well, but also the supporting information before all these programs start opening up for that 24-25 cycle starting June 15th or mid-June. So supporting information, we're going to go into the observation hours, experiences, achievements, licenses, and certifications, and essays. And before we do that, I'm just going to get a swig of water because water's good for you. And I've been talking a while. So hopefully you're still tuning in. Hopefully this isn't extremely boring. I know it can seem like a tedious task and whatnot, and I'll be honest, it is. But if you kind of break stuff down and work on it, whenever you can, I think that'll help you best too, because when we get into this essay, a lot of people, even myself, can encounter what's called writer's block. And so, you may set aside a time on a day and like, oh yeah, I'm going to go ahead and knock out this essay. Well, you may not knock out the essay, and then you might get upset with yourself and frustrated because you got a whole lot of other things going on. It's completely normal to feel that way. You're going to be all right. It happens. Just work on it day in, day out, a little bit of time, and then just try not to stress about it. I'll say that, and I'm stressed right now. So, excuse me. Let's go ahead and get into the observation hours. So, if you haven't already started accumulating observation hours at an inpatient, outpatient, or home health clinic, or any of those domains there, I would recommend going ahead investing time into getting those hours completed. The biggest thing for me was, I know I want to go into an outpatient clinic when I get done with my program. I know I want to be in that setting. That's where I want to be. I want to work with any kind of population. So whether it's geriatrics, everyday adults, or even pediatrics, sports, athletes, what have you, right? I want to be in that setting, in an outpatient setting. And I really kind of want to be in a cash-based practice too, and I'm fine with telehealth and whatnot, but we're going to get into all that here. So there's so many different ways that you can go with PT and different areas you can explore. A lot of programs are going to require you for your clinical rotations to have both inpatient, which again, if you're not familiar with that, that's usually where patients are, staying in a hospital or kind of staying overnight. And then versus outpatient, you kind of get to go home once you're done with any kind of treatment or whatnot. Or, for me, I like to refer to it as troubleshooting. So if I'm sitting there talking with the patient or whatnot, they're free to go home whenever they're done. They can always text me, email me, call me if they ever need anything else. So add your observation hours. If you're not, I would definitely recommend getting some observation hours because a lot of programs require so many, even though they have lessened the degree to how many hours you have to get since the whole COVID pandemic happened. But still, you're going to click on this facility, add the facility name, make sure you get the right address. I've made the mistake before of adding the wrong address here, but I got that fixed and got that resolved. Start, end date, straightforward. Paid, it's kind of rare, but if you do get a paid position like that, great. I guess that's what I need to touch on. The paid position is probably if you're going to be a physical therapy tech or aide. So if you're doing an internship or whatnot, yes, count those observation hours. That's great. Maybe it's a paid internship, maybe it's not, maybe it's volunteer, whatever. That you don't have to specify that it's an internship. It's still hours that you're getting, right? So very important to be able to kind of note that. So experience type, be any of these. Obviously, you only get to check one. Roles that a person shadowed. So you could have both a PT and a physical therapy assistant. Like I said, PT Tech aide is a little bit under physical therapy assistant because you do have to go through education for this, as you do have to go for education for a DPT as well, which is what we're on this whole PTCAS service for in the first place. But anyways, you have different settings here, as I mentioned. So we got inpatient, outpatient, other settings. You're going to want to do, unless some of them do combine these, right? So I guess some do combine. But for me, my experience was really just being in the outpatient setting. And so I was more in wellness, prevention, and fitness clinics because that's what I want to really be in. And so I put so many hours on that, right? And once you get done with that, you go down here and check like what you observed. And so you can really check all of these because you're going to kind of see all of these honestly. But if you don't, maybe certain PTs specialize in specific areas, right? So cardiovascular, pulmonary, what have you, right? Now, big thing. You want to have them verified? Great. Send them. You want to have them verified another way? You can upload a signed form. Great. You still have to get them to fill this out and have their email and their license number. Notice there's a difference in this upload. These are the only two required fields, right? And obviously you have an add document button down here versus send. Now we have the email as being a confirmed, I have to fill this thing out. So obviously you're going to enter their first and last name. Make sure you spell it correctly. I've made the mistake of misspelling the name. Also make sure you get the right email. I've also made the mistake of entering the wrong email address several times and continuously having to get that resolved. Also, it may not go, for some reason, I don't know why, just technology sometimes hates us. It may not go to the person that you need it to go to, or it may just get lost in a black hole. I honestly do not know. I've had that happen so many times, it's not even funny, that I've had to use multiple email addresses of the same person. Finally, it got taken care of. Everything was fine. All they did was enter their license number, where they got their state licensure, and then they'll also sign off on the hours too. Like they have a way of electrically signing it. But then save continue. You do that for one clinic, great. Move on. You get more observations at another clinic. Phenomenal. Do that same rinse and repeat process. And then move on to your experiences. If it'll load, please. Okay, perfect. So experience, pretty straightforward. You want to add experience here. This is really talking about any kind of work that you've done in your undergraduate career, or even honestly during high school or whatnot, that may or may not be pertinent or not pertinent, related to the field of physical therapy. You have your supervisor information here, your experience dates, details. Definitely be sure to make sure you talk about your key responsibilities or anything that happened there. Big thing here I want to note is this 0 out of 600 is not 0 out of 600 words. It's 0 out of 600 characters. So characters is anything from words to commas or any other grammatical punctuation and structuring. So that means you don't have to write as much, right? Because you're going to have spaces and all the lights that I just mentioned. That also means you do got to be more specific. So I'm a person that likes to write a bunch of detail, but I've had to learn over my undergraduate tenure to make sure that if you are being detailed, to still be specific, but also still kind of, have a lay summary as well too for just any kind of general readers out there as well. And definitely have people read over any kind of your key responsibilities, descriptions, especially your main essay, which yes, we're going to get to in just a moment, the COVID essay that we talked about, and any of your program specific essays as well. So pretty straightforward. Type, again, employment, extracurricular, research, volunteer. All of these 4 things are great things to get involved in, even if it's just a little bit for a little bit of time. Great. Phenomenal. Achievements. You get recognized for something. Talk about it. I'll go back and talk about this experience saying, if you go to a conference, say the Southeast ACSM conference, which is one that I was fortunate to go to, talk about that, right? Like that would be probably under research, honestly, or even volunteer. Like talk about that stuff. You present research or what have you, talk about that stuff. Anything that you think is going to be good to talk about or could even relate to your story, talk about it. Achievements. Get awards, honors, scholarships. Big thing here. Big thing. All 3 of these, honestly, really, really big things. Just talk about them. Talk about the name of the organization that presented it to you. Maybe why you won that award. Maybe what led you to pursuing the route to be able to win that or to be able to be a candidate for that award. Anything. Just talk about all that stuff, right? Same thing with his licenses and certifications. For me, mine would be a certification. So I am AED, CPR, adult, and I don't know the full title, but obviously my email would be able to tell me that, or my card that I have in my wallet be able to tell me that, what's my full certification there. So definitely include that. I do know my program requires I guess you would call it like a advanced, kind of certification for the Red Cross, and that's the BLS. So it's basic life support. So I do got to actually go and get that here soon. But that would be like my newest certification. If you got any kind of personal training certifications, if you've gone ahead and done your CSCS, so that's your Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist certification, great. Put that on there. I have not. But while we're here, I will mention one of my professors at Mississippi State told us that if you do not take the CSCS by 2030, you will have to be enrolled in a undergraduate program that specifically talks about strength and conditioning. Like it is listed as strength and conditioning on your diploma in order for you to be eligible to take that. So I do plan on taking the CSCS in the near future. I just don't know when. And obviously, there's plenty of other certifications or licenses that I may be forgetting about too. Biggest thing, though, let me get a swig of water first. Let you go ahead and read the essay subject. All right. All this is saying is just craft you a story, right? So it's an honest. I tried to combine honest and genuine. Let me try that again. It's an honest and genuine story that details kind of who you are, what's grabbed your interest related to this field, why you want to do it, etc. Right? So, and how are you going to be successful in the field? Obviously, we don't have these answers, right? But like, what are things that you've done throughout your undergraduate career, and maybe even a little bit before that, that's gotten you into wanting to pursue this whole DPT uh, career? And like, what are some things that you do yourself that have helped you, right? Like, everything's a process, right? So it's not going to be perfect, and that's perfectly okay. They understand that, but they want to see how you adapt and overcome in this story too. So it could be a bunch of mini stories that lead to one big picture, or it could be one big story, right? Just one big idea, right? So I mean, really, it's going to be for me. It was more one big idea that led to one big idea. But some people have many stories that lead and culminate to one big idea. So it just depends who you are and then like how you write it and whatnot. So I didn't list my essays in that overview PDF. Excuse me again, because I wanted you to think of this on your own. I want this to be your thing. Same thing with all the other supplemental essays too for the program specific ones. But if you do feel like you're stuck, you need some brainstorming, I'm there to try to help. Just please be respectful of my time, and I'll see what I can do. And again, there's plenty of other people on YouTube that are, good at explaining this stuff, probably much better than I. So, you know, research them, figure out kind of like what they do, what they talk about, um, and yeah, and you'll be all right. So that's that. Let's go ahead and talk about this final section here, which is the program materials. So I've already got this one on here, and I'm going to go ahead and if you do, let me go ahead and just tell you how to delete it. If you do already have a program on here, just click Add Program, view selected programs, and you click this X button, and you will delete the program off there. Now, be mindful. If you delete the program off there, you delete everything that you put into that program. So if you already did your essays for that program, you already did and answered some of the program-specific questions, you did your reference letters for that, all that's gone now, okay? But when we come here to this Add Program button, or if we click Program Materials down here to add a program, you're going to see all these different programs pop up. Now, the good thing about these programs is they all have a specific start date and deadline. Pay attention to that, but also pay attention to this accreditation status as well, right? So accredited is great. That means they're accredited, right? It means you're good to go. So if you get your degree from here, you're going to be fine as long as you pass your boards. If they're a candidate for accreditation, that means they're in the process of getting it, right? Same thing. Where's it at? There's one in here. Same thing about developing. That also means they're in the process. Now, while these may be renowned programs, for other career options, right? They're just now in the works of getting their doctor of physical therapy programs up and running, right? So if somehow they fail accreditation and you graduate from here, and even if you pass your boards or maybe they won't even let you take your boards. Everything that you did for the past 2 to 3 years, all that hard work and effort put in is gone. It's out the window. So I would really pay attention to these accreditation statuses as you go through and kind of think about what programs you want. And also, this is just a list of just really everything that's on PTCAS, right? And so again, you're not going to see the newer cycle until, like I said, June 15th. So I wouldn't even worry about this stuff right now. I'm just trying to give you a general overview of what to kind of expect. So I'm going to enter a specific program. I'm going to go ahead and enter the one that I applied to and one of the ones I'm accepted to and also one of the ones I'm going to, and that's South College in Knoxville. And it's a 2-year hybrid program, so most of it's remote, but 4 times out of the year, I'll have to travel for lab immersions, and that'll be for a certain amount of days in which we're just kind of, like I said, completing the labs and doing whatever we got to do to reinforce our online knowledge and learning. And so in second year, it'll be mostly clinicals, but also a little bit of the former stuff that I mentioned too. So once you kind of find a program, click on it. You kind of hear, I heard about this program by doing observation hours at a specific clinic. So that's how I figured out this program. I never even knew this program even existed. But if you want to add it, click this add button. But before you add it, I suggest obviously looking at the settings, see if that's relevant to you, but also click on this thing right here. And so this pulls up their entire program description. So it gives you forms, gives you the deadlines, really talks about everything here. Well, they already got, oh, nice. They got their next year going on here for this too. I guess they're in the process of already updating this. It hasn't been fully updated yet, probably until June 15th, but go ahead and start reaching out to programs and their administrators and admissions and whatnot, and start talking with them, figuring out stuff. Set up pre-interviews to an acceptance interview, if that's something that suits you. But let's just, for kits and giggles, go ahead and just add this, okay? And so now I'm going to go back to my application. I'm going to program materials. Oh, and now we actually have something here because I added a program. So we'll click on this. Now it pulls up the full thing. So this is everything we kind of just looked at, right? Everything here. But now we get questions, references, and prerequisites. So answer all the questions as best as possible. Notice, not everyone will have the same questions, and not everyone will have this many essays. But that just depends on the program. So complete this stuff, complete any other supplemental stuff that they may have you go to their website for outside of PTCAS. And if you ever have questions, and they're going to be there to help you, right? References. This is very important, and it can be a little confusing, so I'm going to try my best to walk you through this real quick. When you want to request a PTCAS reference, pay attention to this number right here. Okay, I mentioned in the overview PDF that I did both a PT, which was from one of my observation clinics, and also did a professor who was from a university, or Mississippi State, to be more specific. And the reason why I did that is because I developed a little bit of dependency on them over so many hours of being in contact with them, right? And so they kind of were able to learn my character, and they realized, my work ethic and all other kind of attributes that would make a good aspiring DPT, right? And so those are the people that I reached out to. And I tried to do so, I think, a month, 2 months ahead of time before I really had to get the application submitted. And one of them got back pretty quickly, but the other one, we ran into some issues with having to submit multiple reference letters for multiple programs, because I believe that they did not select the reuse application option, which is, I think that's step 6 in that postscript kind of instruction thing that I have on the overview document. When you're writing the emails, that's purely a template. I fully believe that you guys are all capable of being able to write effective emails, but diving into this real quick. Reference: name, last name, email address, due date, personal notes, messages. Okay, just pretty straightforward. Make sure you get the email address right. It's kind of the same thing with the observation letters, right? So be careful of that. I recommend waiving your access to it. And the reason why is because it just shows that you kind of have a certain amount of trust in your recommender. So when programs are reviewing your application, they're like, oh, this person wanted to see what their recommender wrote about them. Maybe that's not a great recommender. And also, like I said, get a recommender that knows you, because you don't want someone to write a terrible recommendation letter for you and that screw up your application. Get someone who is willing to write you a strong letter of recommendation. Make sure to check these boxes, and then you save this reference request. Okay. I'm trying to think. The video, please watch the video that I suggested on that document about kind of going over with the whole reuse option, because it's very important that you do that. That way it saves both you and the recommender time. And y'all don't have to continuously resubmit and refill out applications for each program, when you can just use one recommendation thing for multiple programs. If that makes sense. So pay attention to that. Prereqs. I haven't touched on this yet. I should have touched on this, but it's a big thing. So You got all your different courses here. Every program's different. Maybe I already touched on this. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's a previous meeting that didn't record. Ha ha ha. Very funny, right? No. Okay. I'll touch it on again real quick. Every program's different. Everyone requires different prerequisites. Reach out to the coordinators, figure out which ones they're good with, whatnot. Even if I am retouching on this, it's very important to understand that. But that's pretty much it there. Once you get done with all the supplemental information, your essays, everything related to PTCAS, transcripts are sent, everything, you are free to submit your application. Everything will be green. You'll obviously have to pay a certain fee depending on how many programs you have. And you can sort it by deadline or alphabetical. I'm confident all you guys will get your stuff submitted by deadline. Like I said, most of them open June 15th. Some open later. Some may open earlier. Just kind of get on the website and be viewing or reach out to the coordinators and figure out when their PTCAS application will open. Or if they don't have a PTCAS application, get them to send you their personal internal application that they use for everything. Once you're done with that, you're good to go. You'll just have to come back and frequently update. Notice I said frequently update. I have not updated this thing since I first submitted mine, right? So I got to go back and do that myself. So it's not really a rush because once you get done with this, they'll either offer you an interview or not. And that interview is basically the first step of, hey, we want to learn more about you. So go do your best with the interview, whether it's remote or in person. You'll find out if you get accepted really officially after that. If they accept you, congratulations. I'm happy for you, proud of you. If not, keep trying. Find other programs. If you need to go explore other career, do so. But hopefully this has been helpful. Make sure to check your status once before, your transcript status. So if it arrived or doesn't arrive, it'll tell you. Your programs, if it's in progress. Make sure you download your full applications once you're done so you have it for your own records. But that's pretty much everything. I think I've covered as much as I can. If I haven't, refer to those YouTube videos or feel free to reach out to me and I'll see what I can do to help. In the meantime, I wish you the best of luck with completing this stuff. I know it seems overwhelming, but I think you're going to do all right. All right. Wish you all the best. Take care.